All right, we'll now get started. Just so everybody knows, this session is being recorded today. This will also be available on our website at www.eligio.com. My name's Derek Major. Again, thank you for joining us this morning. I'm with Eligio CRM based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, as well as with offices in Vancouver, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto. Today we're talking about designing a sales CRM process, really trying to give some people some introduction to designing workflow and process systems for when implementing their CRM. Before I get started, let's give you a bit of a background on Eligio CRM and who we are. We are, as you can see on our website here, if you want to look this up after the webinar at www.eligeo.com, we're a business software consulting firm, and we specialize in helping small and medium-sized businesses get started with CRM in their company. Some things you can see on our website is some of the consulting services we offer, help desk for companies that require assistance that their IT departments can't provide. We are also really good at helping companies migrate from other CRM products that you might be using today and moving over to other systems as well. In addition to CRM, we also do a lot of work with Acton for marketing automation systems, and Acumatica is another ERP product that we spend a lot of time with on our customers. If you're looking for other information, such as blogs, we have a free blog that's available online. If you're looking for a free consultation for businesses of greater than 10 employees, we'd love to chat with you, and we can set you up with one of our consultants to give you kind of an overview of some of the things that we do, but also take a look at some of what you're doing in your business today and possibly give you some ideas as well. Now, just some things for the webinar itself. You'll notice that on your GoToWebinar screen, you do have an area to punch in questions. If you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to punch them in there. I'll address them near the end of the webinar. As it is just myself today, I won't be able to answer any questions throughout, as I won't have that available to me as I'm walking through the screens today. But definitely ask any questions, and I'll be sure to answer them near the end of the session. And as I mentioned, this video is being recorded. So if I'd say probably Monday or Tuesday, you'll be able to access the video. And on our website, that's just under resources and under videos here. You'll be able to find all that, along with a number of other videos that we've created over the last year or so. Without further ado, we'll get started here on our session. Let's pull up a quick little PowerPoint. So here's a bit of our agenda for the day. What we're going to do is talk about what is a sales process. We'll talk a little bit about some of the products that are available out there. Designing a workflow, what does that mean? We'll go over building out a workflow. We'll actually do that with some of the products we have here today. Swim lanes, we'll talk a bit about that, and I'll show you a few things about different products that you can use out there as well. And also at the end of the webinar, I'll be able to provide a free template that you can use for yourself to get started today with the sales process based on Sugar CRM sales processes. So what is a sales process? Really, it's just your approach. It's how you actually engage with your client or your prospect on selling them a product or a service that you're offering them. It's all the stages from the point when they become a lead to the point that you actually close or potentially, unfortunately, lose the deal as well. So it's really understanding each step of the process and understanding what things are involved with that, being able to close a sale with a customer. Building this out before you ever step into the world of a CRM is really important. A lot of people will buy a CRM, even like Sugar CRM, they'll install it, they'll start using it. But unfortunately, what they've missed out on is the fact that there's a lot more than just installing a piece of software and letting it run. You need to be able to build out your process and be able to implement that process inside of your software. It's a line that I use all the time, and it's that you cannot let technology dictate your business process. Your business process, including the sales process, needs to dictate the technology that you're going to use. And that also means that sometimes, even though we're a Sugar Platinum partner, doesn't necessarily mean Sugar is always the best choice. You have to make sure that you drive through the process, not necessarily the software. So that's one point we really try to drive home for people. This is just a screenshot from Sugar CRM of a sales process. I'm actually going to flip over right here to Sugar CRM just to kind of give you guys a bit of an overview of the system itself. So right here with Sugar, I'm on the I'm logged in as a sales executive right here, and this just kind of gives me a breakdown of the sales activity. Inside of the opportunities module is really where a lot of your sales process is going to be driven from. Let's just refresh this here. There we go. So all of the opportunity module in most CRM products, whether it's Salesforce, Dynamics, or Sugar CRM, is all driven from your opportunity records. Opportunity records give you the ability to track a deal. And of course, a deal, in the case of this particular deal for a pledge this is from an example we used before with another client. This encompasses sales activity through revenue line items. So, and this is where if you go under here, you can find sales stages that are attributed to what a revenue line item is. I'm not going to go into in depth about what an opportunity is today. We do have training sessions starting in a couple weeks, every Tuesdays at 2 o'clock, that you can jump on for free training. I know opportunities is going to be on the docket as well. So stay tuned to our website. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, make sure you do. We do send out a lot of free information off that. It's not any sales information. It's just mostly information to help people get a grasp on what CRM is, as well as overview on things like Sugar CRM. But really, this whole sales process that we're going to talk about today is walking through all these stages and how to define what these really mean inside of your business. So some of the products out there, probably the most common, the most popular, especially in large corporations, is Visio. I've used Visio for years. Now as you can probably tell, I'm using a Mac now. I have for the last few years now, for about 3 years. OmniGraffle is the product you'll find most common on Mac. Visio doesn't exist on Windows, on the Mac, unless you have something like Fusion or Parallels. PowerPoint is actually something people do use, and I do have a sample at the end that I'll show you that you can actually use PowerPoint if you're budget conscious and you don't want to go out and buy a product like OmniGraffle or Visio. PowerPoint's really great. Lucid Charts is a newcomer. It's completely online. It integrates with Google Apps really well, and it's obviously free, as you can see on my screen here. And there's a number of other products out there too, especially as the internet's becoming more app-based over the years. You're going to see a lot more products out there that are specific to what that can be helpful for process designing and graphs and such like that. So let's talk a little bit about process. So what I'm going to do is open up OmniGraffle. So I'm going to focus a little bit, or probably most of this session, on OmniGraffle. This is the product that we use internally at Eligio quite a bit. It's a great product. It does allow you to export to Visio, so if you do have people that are using Visio, you can do that. I share a lot of my stuff through PDF. I can export to PDF very easily. So when you're building out flowcharts and things like that, there's a few different shapes and kind of rules you need to abide by when you're building out these flowcharts. And what I'm going to do is drag over a couple objects here. So the first one we have is what we call a start-stop indicator. And what this is really for is you'll find these on maps all the time, and the idea is that what is the starting point? What's initiating the starting point of your process? A process is a box. It's just going to be a rectangular square, and all it is basically a process. It's a task, it's an action that's occurring within the step of your process. Another popular shape that we use is a decision-making box. So anytime you have to make a decision, you use a type of triangle to kind of indicate what that decision is going to be. So it could be, did the person decide to buy the product or not? Yes or no. That will allow you to branch off to different flows of your flow chart. Now, you could also, it doesn't have to be yes or no question. It can be, which color do they prefer? Is it blue or red? Then you could also break off from that as well. Other steps, other boxes that are most common, probably I would imagine the last one that we have on our list here that I'll worry about for today is a predefined process. This might be referencing a whole new process on a different process map. So if we have on here a process map called, we'll use a car example, that we're going to go in for an inspection on our vehicle. And one of the steps is that we find on a decision that the oil is bad or the brakes need replacing. That could be a decision box that triggers off the point. So if we have, say, bad brakes, then we would say that we have a decision on bad brakes, but we might have a predefined process called replace brakes. So I would put that up here, and then I would go and down here, and I would actually take a little arrow just to point up to this box. I'm going to put an arrow on there, and we're going to move this around a little bit. And then I'm also going to have another one, check oil. So basically what I'm saying here is I'm going to have a decision from the bad brakes. If there's bad brakes, we want to replace the brakes before we move on. So we might go on there, we might add some text to indicate that yes, we have bad brakes. We might go down here and say no, we don't, so we're just going to continue on in our process. Then what you can end up doing is then taking another arrow from here. After the brakes have been replaced, we can just continue on in the process. So we can clean it up. I always put a little, you always want to make sure that your process maps are clean and legible. So basically we said bad brakes, yes, then we're going to go replace the brakes. Bad brakes, no, well, we just continue on and check the oil. Very simple. That's a very simple example. Using and again, check oil is just going to be, is basically going to be an action or a step. And then we've started the process. So that's kind of a quick kind of breakdown on what an example of tracking bad brakes, for instance. Now you got to remember, process is really easy. It's something very conceptual you just have to do. A lot of people do checklists. A lot of people do point form. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really, all you're doing is building out process. What we're doing here is creating a visual version of that. Is all we're doing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up an example. We're just going to write up an example here of the sales assistant. So basically, this flow we're going to create is called the sales assistant helping process an order. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull over the start, just to use the indicator to say that we're going to start our process. The reason we do that is so that we always know where the flow starts and we always know where it ends. You can always have multiple start points. You can also have multiple end points. So this example I'm going to use actually has 2 endpoints. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab a process box. And in here, we're going to go and say, the process is we receive the order. So we're going to move that down and we're done. The next step is that we're going to go and grab another process box. We're going to drop it right here. And we're going to say, we're going to enter order into system. We're then going to say, over here, we're going to have the system check for inventory. Now we've done that, we're gonna put a decision in here. You can move the boxes around. There's no specifics on how big the box can be. Just try to make sure that you try to keep this concise so it's easy to read. You don't want to put a novel in any of these things. And the question is there stock? So we move the box up just like that. What we're going to do now, before I move along any further on the process, add a few arrows on here just to kind of give it some format here, make it a little cleaner. Like this. Like this, and add this in there, and we'll bring our process over here, like that, and we'll move that up. I always like to make sure we keep these things clean and very legible as much as possible. So we have a decision here. So now we say, is there stock? Well, now we're going to add a process at the bottom here, and we're going to say notify sales rep. But we're going to attach a decision on here. So we're going to go down here and put an arrow, and we're going to call this one, go over here, we're going to put some text in here and say there's no stock. So basically we're saying our process, we want to notify the sales rep because there's no stock, we can't sell it. So we're going to go over there and then we're going to add a stop to end the process. Just like that. And again, we'll drop another arrow in here. And then we'll put another, and there you go. So now we've added that decision. Now the other decision, of course, is going to be yes. So if it's yes, we do have stock, we're going to go add another process in here, and we're going to say confirm and release. So I'm going to dump that in there. I'm going to go and put an arrow on here now. Just indicate that, yeah, this is good. We're good. We'll put yes over here. Yes has been put in place. So now we've finished our decision. And from here now, we're going to go and add some boxes down here. Now, some questions people always ask is what should you go vertical, horizontal with your process maps? It all depends. I like to use it so you're streaming from left to right and down as you're making your final decision. So we only have a few steps left in this process. So what we're going to do is go down here and we're going to move it downwards because we did that with the node tree. So it kind of makes it clean. It makes it look good. So the goal here is to make it legible for someone to read afterwards, right? So what we're going to do is warehouse is going to be notified of order. And then finally, we're going to add one more decision box on here, and then warehouse sends out order. So now we're going to grab this. We're going to go down here. We're going to go and put an arrow on there, and now we've completed that. And of course, as I mentioned before, we're going to put one more stop on here, just to indicate we've finished off our process. We're going to put it right there, and we put one final arrow. Oh, I didn't grab the arrow. There we go. And that's that. So now now what we've done is we've created a very simple process here on sales assistant ordering ordering this data for this customer. So start, receive, order. So we have all of our process boxes. We have a decision, no and yes, and this is a very clean process. So that's a basic workflow. That's something very easy to put together. You can use that with any example that you might have. Really, anything that you do in business has a process to it. If someone argues with you about there's no process to it, well, there's bigger problems there. But really, at the end of the day, you should be able to document every flow in your business. There might be a lot of decisions to be made, but everything can be conceptualized very easily. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is is swim lanes. So swim lanes are another way of capturing information on customers. So what we're going to do is actually take a look at an example in PowerPoint. So let's just go down here. I'm just going to open up PowerPoint here and show you an example that that's been pre-built already. So I'm just going to pull up a full view of this right here. So this is an example of swim lanes. Now, swim lanes are really nice. They're really great to work with, and they're really easy to use because it allows you to define who the actors are or the step is. Now, when it comes to sales processes, this is really great because along the left-hand side here, you can see we have prospecting, we have qualification, needs analysis. If I pop out of here and go back to our Sugar CRM, you'll notice the sales stages matches up here. So what we want to define is what happens when we get to the prospecting stage, what happens in the qualification, et cetera, et cetera. So if we pop back into PowerPoint here, you can see under prospecting, one of the processes we want to do is we want to send an introductory email. So this can be an automated thing that happens inside of your CRM. It can be a manual thing. So you could even set it up so that this task is going to create a task for a salesperson to send out an email. It can be even automated depending on the CRM system you decide to go with. Again, we're building the process out before we get to the CRM. So it's totally fine to get creative and do it as you'd really like it to be. Now then we go to qualification. So we want to qualify this customer in the sales stage. So maybe the qualification, is it a large business? Is it more than 100 employees? Is it less than 10 employees? Whatever your requirements are for qualification occurs right here. And again, if it's no, it's not a large business, well, this is a dead lead. You see that we have a stop icon or stop shape here as well. And if it's a yes, well, then we move on to the next stage of needs analysis. So then we schedule a meeting, we capture in-depth requirements of the client. That's the goal here, and we meet with them. We get some information from them, so we might set up a meeting, which then takes us into the next sales stage, value proposition. So what's the feasibility of delivering on the requirements the client has as it relates to the products or services we offer? That's where this sales piece would occur. Decision makers, so part of the sales process, and keep in mind this sales process is defined by Sugar CRM. I've probably done over 200 of these implementations now for Sugar, and every single time we've actually changed all of the sales process. So don't think that you have to conform to what they've done here. I have some clients that are down to 4 steps to 2 steps. It all depends on what your process is. So you feel free to be creative and see what works best for your business. So in this case, we identify all decision makers, then it moves on to the next sales stage, the perception analysis to determine the perceived value from the client. And then we get the proposal price quote. So we might deliver the proposal to them. And if it's been longer than 7 days since we had the proposal, then yes, we will send them a follow-up email. But if it hasn't and we get a response, then maybe we schedule a meeting with them to do finalization and review. If finally, did they accept the proposal? Yes or no. And then it's either close won or close lost, as simple as that. So this is kind of an example actually using PowerPoint. So you can see on here, these are all the shapes available. You can move them around. The swim lane's already built for you. This particular template I am going to make available to anybody on here as well as on our website. This was only done this past week, so it's not available there yet. But if you are, again, if you're on our newsletter, it'll be on there. If you pop over to our website, right under free newsletter, just click on sign up. Make sure you fill out for sign up for newsletter here to jump on the list, and you'll be able to get a free copy of that PowerPoint template. And this can be a nice way to get started with creating your own process map using at least the sugar basics. But you can also jump into the master template of the PowerPoint and edit the swim lanes as well if you have different steps that you want to use as well. That's totally fine. Now, finally, let's chat a little bit about Lucidchart as well. So I've shown you OmniGraffle. I've shown you PowerPoint here as an example to use for doing sales process. But let's pop over to Lucidchart. This is really cool, this system, and this is just the free edition I'm in too. So if you pop back out, I'm just going to close and go back to Lucidchart. So it's just lucidchart.com. I can go on here, click on create a new document. It's going to ask me what kind of map I want to create. So they even have a sales process one already predetermined for you on there. So I've just clicked on that. It's going to create it for us right now. We'll just give it a second because it is generating all of our shapes and things right now. Oh, should be. Try that again. Huh. We're just going to hit refresh one more time on this thing. All right, for some reason I can't load a new chart, but I can edit the old one. So I'll just show you this quickly, but it could be, I'm not sure if it's the internet or what it is, but it does work pretty good for the most part. Although I don't use this one, like I said, I use OmniGraffle, but if this is a great alternative too. But again, just dragging process box over. So again, oil change. If you want to do a decision box, you can click here and pull over a decision box. Again, brakes broken or brakes need replacement. You can tell I'm not a mechanic, so brakes open like that. So it's really easy to kind of build out your process steps and all that too. So if you need to add arrows in there too, you just click it over there and over there. So I mean, that's pretty easy to do. So this is another great tool. It integrates with Google Drive, so you can actually save it in there, but you'll also import diagram from Visio. OmniGraffle is also a new option they have to import as well. So, but the cool thing, it lets you download it in a variety of formats too, depending on what you need it to do. So that's a great little product, an alternative for you as well to take a look at. So that's kind of I know it's kind of like drinking water through a fire hose going through some of this stuff in a matter of half an hour, but sales process design does take a lot of time. I always tell customers we probably spend, I'd say 60 to 70% of the time that we do consulting with clients, just specifically on process, not necessarily just sales side. Sales is a big component of CRM, but it's not the only thing in there. But taking the time to really define your process is really important. So what I'll do is I'll just pop up my information on here. Again, I'm at Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Derek Major. Derek Major. We also have the Eligio account too, at Eligio. That's monitored by our social media team. So they're posting a lot of our blog articles, retweeting a lot of information on there as well too. www.eligio.com blog. We have a ton of blogs. I think we're up to 60 or 70 blogs on CRM on there. And there's everything from sugar CRM related stuff to marketing automation to just general information on business software. So be sure to check that out. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have as you go down this path of CRM. And again, I invite everybody to take a look at our website and sign up for the newsletter. Again, that's free. Again, if your business is kind of looking at the world of CRM or marketing automation or ERP, definitely sign up for a free consultation. We have some really great people on staff here including myself, I do some of these as well. So, or if you just want to poke around and see how some of the areas of marketing, sales, service, and financials might affect your business, feel free to take a look. So I'm just going to take a quick peek and see if we have any questions on here. Looks like we do have one question here. So which product do I think is the best product out there? I honestly, I think a lot of them do a lot of the same. We have some guys on staff that do prefer Lucidchart. I've used OmniGraffle just because it is an easy product to use, and it's on my Mac. I still feel comfortable using stuff that's installed on my computer. If you're comfortable using things online, that's not a bad option too. That works really well for anyone. So feel free to pop in there too. What is the difference between swim lanes and a basic workflow? So yeah, that can be a bit confusing on that part. The workflow, a basic workflow, like we illustrated back on an OmniGraffle here. I'm just going to pull it back up again here. So this is a basic workflow. If it's a very simple workflow that doesn't have a lot of actors involved. So an actor could be, in this case, there could be the sales assistant. So we could say that the sales assistant, the warehouse is also an actor. Let's move some of this stuff around here. Another actor could be the computer system. And another actor could be the sales rep themselves. So what you would do is, instead of like on the PowerPoint presentation that I showed you earlier with the swim lanes with all the sales steps, you could set it up so each swim lane is for each actor. So the sales assistant is going to receive the order. And then they're also going to input the order into the system. But now we move this step down into the workflow for the computer system. So I'm not going to break out the swim lanes for this diagram. I won't have enough time to do that. But then you can also illustrate easily as it works through each actor into each system as it works through a flow. So that's another way you can kind of capture swim lane information versus basic workflow. It's just more structure. You kind of have to make a judgment call what's going to be the best way to illustrate things. Usually I use swim lanes for the most part, unless it's a very simple process like the one we just illustrated at the top there. But if it's a complex workflow, we will do it through a swim lane. It's just easier to communicate that with stakeholders like executive teams and whatnot. And I think that's it for questions. So if that's it, as I said, we'll have this presentation available on www.eligeo.com at the latest, probably Monday, Tuesday. But feel free to sign up on the newsletter. We'll be sending out an email on the weekend for you to check it out, as well as to download the PowerPoint template to help you get started as well. Again, thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a great day.